And now bringing you that hard, hitting fight analysis, submitting you into paralysis. Josh Thompson head kicking leg to dome, and Big John McCarthy saying let's get it on.
Well, hello and welcome to the Weighing In Podcast. We just had a UFC from Abu Dhabi where Bobby Knuckles, Robert Whittaker took on RDR in a 5-round grueling fight. We're going to talk about that, all kinds of stuff to talk about. I won't even say about it. We'll talk about it later. But what's happening? My man is in California. I am in California. Yeah. And our California boy, Keto George, is in Illinois. Something's wrong.
This is true, right? We all decided to jump on the road and do road trips like in the last, 5-6 days. Like, let's just travel the world, right? Yeah, and just travel the U.S. That's it. But yeah, we're out. We've been out here for a couple days now, and I had a UFC, my 3rd-year anniversary for the UFC gym that I own here in San Jose. And it's actually going on right now, so I had to step away to get the filming in so you guys could get this show as fast and as early as possible. So be easy with me on the prelims. I was in and out of the prelims watching them, but I did get a chance to watch the majority of them. I did watch the one that you were talking about, though, with Nguyen and, how do you say his last name? Yahya?
Yahya.
Yeah. So, yeah, I watched that was great. I mean, like, I know you posted some X comments about it, and we'll get into that fight as well. But let's first start off, though. I want to say, hey, thank you to Drink Element. Element sent us over some big packages over to the UFC gym, and we're doing giveaways pretty much all day. So I want to thank them so much for working with my team over at the UFC gym here in San Jose, California. They've been fantastic, and I'm going to send over some footage for Keto George so he can go ahead and include some of that. We had some great stuff. Taught a morning class. It was awesome. Had 80 people in my class this morning, in my fitness class. And so it was awesome. They were all there ready to be tortured. And I did my part. So I wanted to make sure we had a good time. Element, use that link down below in the descriptions. They will send you some bonus packages with every one of your purchases. So hopefully you guys check out their product. It's amazing. And I drink it on a daily basis. I know John does because he lives in Nashville. I know he's not there right now. But he lives in Nashville where it's extremely hot and you get dehydrated really quickly. So we use Element as our hydration product. It's the best one in the business. So use that link down below in the descriptions for bonus packages with every purchase. Let's go ahead and talk about the fights, man. Let's get right into it, John. DeRitter versus Robert Whittaker. What were your thoughts on the fight? I thought it was a fantastic fight for a 185-pound fight.
I thought it was a very grueling fight. I looked at it and I thought Bobby Knuckles was doing exactly what he should have in the first round. Keeping himself at length away from a guy who's super long and then making his rushes because he's much faster. And he was doing a good job with that. But those rushes started to get him a little bit winded. You could see it. There was just a little bit. He won the round, but then DeRitter was able to get him down in the second round. He took that round. The third round was the round. The third round was the one that you looked at and you said, because let's be honest, DeRitter did hurt Whittaker. He hurt him with that knee.
Yeah.
Whittaker felt it. You could tell. And then Whittaker comes up with a huge overhand right that, I mean, it almost spun his head all the way around. It was that hard of a shot, and he survived it. Now, he survived it. He didn't win the round, in my opinion, based upon the damage that was done with that shot, even though he had his moments. And, yeah, he had done damage to Whittaker, but I thought that was the most damaging shot of the round. It almost ended the fight. You got to give it a ton of credit. So Whittaker takes that round. DeRitter takes the fourth. So we were even going into the fifth, and they were just both exhausted. And this is the thing that I got to point out in this fight. The amount of knees that DeRitter and everybody that fights him from this point forward is going to have to figure out, hey, I cannot allow this guy to bring his knee into my solar plex area in the continuous fashion that Robert Whittaker was getting hit, because that is what got Whittaker tired. It wasn't that he wasn't in shape. It was he took so many knees to the stomach and gut area that, when you get hit like that, your next couple breaths, it almost feels like you're not getting anything. And then you feel every breath you take. And so you start taking shallower breaths because of the way it feels. And DeRitter won that fight based upon those knees, because in the fifth round, it was close, but those knees were really the difference, I thought. I gave it to DeRitter, but it was so close in the fifth. It could have gone either way. You can't complain about it either way, in my opinion. They both fought their asses off, but this is what fighting is. When you get two guys that are really good, it's hard to finish someone unless they make a big mistake.
So what I saw was in the first round, I saw Robert Whittaker do exactly what Corey Sandhagen said not to do after he fought Umar Nurmagomedov. He said,
true.
Don't spend so much time running after your strike. Like, he spent so much time moving. In the second round, he wasn't the same fighter, which made him a little bit easier to hit. And then by the end of the second round, they were both exhausted. So it didn't make as much difference. But DeRitter still had the length, the physical size of DeRitter. I mean, I had people that were watching the fights with me. They were wondering how the hell he makes weight. And I was looking, I was like, he's so tall. He's so
It's
long.
like an ostrich. He's got hollow bones.
Yeah, whatever it is, he's doing it right. When it comes to weight cutting, he's got it down to a science, obviously, because he actually weighed less than Robert Whittaker by half a pound.
Yeah,
and so he came in at championship weight, whereas Whittaker came in at 185 and a half. DeRitter came in at 185 on the dot. I mean, John, he just poses threats that not a lot of people are used to dealing with. That knee up the gut, it comes to that liver side. So he knows, because he has that southpaw stance. So he waits for you to step in. And it's there all day long.
Yeah.
He keeps you at bay with the long push kick up the middle, that little snap kick, not really much on it, but it's more or less to kind of just keep you at bay. And he keeps his long jab out there too. And then the overhand right keeps you out. So it keeps you either all the way away, and then when you close the distance too much or too fast, the knee is there. And then what he likes to do as well is he'll parry the jab, not parry the jab, but he'll just throw the lazy jab out there as he's closing that distance. And he knows you're either going to get out and circle away, but if you stop, I'm going to throw that knee up the gut right to the liver. And he had success. Even though he hurt Whittaker like one or two times where you could visibly see it, there was a lot more times if you weren't paying attention, you didn't see it. He was hurt several times throughout that fight with those liver shots.
Oh, yeah.
Several times. Where you could see he just covered, he circled away, he dropped his elbow, lowered his weight a little bit. That's when you know someone is hurt. But if you're tired, you're the one trying to fight in there, you don't always witness that. That's why you rely on your corners to do that. I thought it was one of the best fights I'd seen at 185 pounds in a long time. One of the best fights.
I mean, I there was people booing at a certain point. I go, what do you want of a human being, man? It's like, do you realize how hard these guys are working in there? But I mean, it wasn't, there were those moments where you had the close finish where, Whittaker, like, I honestly thought, in the third round when he went after him, Josh, he almost punched himself out. He shot his wad trying to get rid of him. And it's just that DeRitter is that durable and that tough. He was able to stay with it because a lot of guys would not have made it out of that entire position and everything that happened. So my hat's off to both of them. I thought they both fought their asses off. It was one of those ones. It could have gone either way, in my opinion. I did have DeRitter winning it, but I wouldn't have been upset if someone told me, no, Whittaker wins. Okay. And I kind of was rooting for Bobby Knuckles. So, but it is.
Yeah, I mean, like, this is one of those fights where you kind of don't want to see a loser.
Yeah.
You want to see the new blood make some leeway in the 185 pound division. I like sprucing it up. Having somebody like DeRitter come in and make a splash. He's got 4 fights in the UFC. 3 of them are finishes. Yep. Now going the distance, but having a great fight with Robert Whittaker, a back and forth battle. He drops Rob. Rob drops him. Like, just beautiful fight.
Yeah.
Both of them had to go through a lot. I definitely thought it was one of the best fights of the night for sure. Where do you see them putting Robert Whittaker now, and where do you see them putting RDR now?
Well, see, and that's the real question because, obviously Whittaker is going to be going down. It's just part of what, occurs. But he's still, and this is the thing, Josh, you got to look and you go, look, he can still fight. I mean, it's not like he's a guy you go, man, you can see the speed is starting to go away. He was so much faster than RDR. It was, not even close. He can still take a shot. He can still deliver a shot. He can still wrestle his ass off when it comes to defensive wrestling and even offensive wrestling, So the guy can still fight. It's just that he's having these fights where you look and he got beat with the teeth thing. Okay, it happens. Everyone can get, a position where someone can hurt you in the fight, and Kazmat hurt him and he had to tap out. Okay. This fight right here, he's had some great fights with like Cannonier. He's still in the mix where truthfully he could win against anybody in the middleweight division right now. So I just look and say, well, obviously he's a way off of, a title run right now because he's going to have to regroup and everything. But at the UFC, if you want a fucking gatekeeper, you can't ask for a tougher gatekeeper or a guy that possibly could actually ruin everything that you're looking to do because he's still that good.
Yeah, everything about him, like I know there was a little bit of buzz for just like probably about 2-3 weeks about him going to 205.
Yeah, he talked about it
now
for a
him
while.
fighting. Now him fighting RDR is like, maybe not. These guys are big. Like, who knows? But I mean, I like where he's at right now. I think he does pose a threat for a lot of those guys. I look at him as more than a gatekeeper. He's a fantastic fighter. He's a fantastic human being. Like I was secretly rooting for him because I like him a lot.
Sure.
But to seeing the new blood come in and get a win and kind of spruce up that division. The division seems a little flat lately. We've seen a lot of the fights already mixed up. You know, Paulo Costa making a good run, having a good win, and now have the opportunity now to kind of make his presence felt. If he continues to grow like what he used to be, we can maybe see him back to what he used to be. We saw glimpses of it in his last fight. But I think, where do you go with RDR from here? People are already talking that he should fight DDP after, or the winner of Hamzat and DDP. What's your take on that?
I mean, you could be looking and saying, hey, he's right in line for that. I honestly look, I got to have one more. I'm just being honest. I got to have you in a fight with someone that is going to show me that, you know what? Yeah, you are the next guy. Because, Hamzat, let's be honest, Hamzat got rid of Whittaker how fast? Now, you can't compare fighters, but you can compare, okay, at times. I think, when you're looking at the 185 division, like you're saying, I haven't seen it this actually exciting with so many fighters in a long time. It's always been the division where there's only been one or two guys that you look that can beat the champion possibly. Now, look, Hamzat's going to be going after DDP. Doesn't mean that he's going to get the win, but this is one of those ones. He could unseat the champion. You have RDR moving up now. You have a lot of growth with Barriault. All these people are now out there, and it goes okay. And I'm being honest. If I was going to put RDR against somebody next, I would put him against Barriault. You beat him, yes, you get a title shot. Other than that, I look at Barriault right now is ahead of him in that positioning.
Sorry, I've been trying to pull up my rankings. My rankings are not pulling up. That's what I've been trying to fuss around with. I can't get them to come up.
I don't have them up.
Like, I know that Whittaker was at 5. I think Barriault was at 6 or 4 and 5. I think he was right behind there, right?
I think he was behind.
Okay. But my take, I understand where you're going with that. I get it. But I guess my take on it is you have two guys that are hot. Why ruin it by having them fight each other? Have them fight whoever else is above them.
That's what I like to do. That's what I like to do.
And that's why MMA has stalled, because old men are running it these days. So they have their old opinions, all those things.
Don't put two good guys together. Put guys that
not exactly right now.
Try to push what you're going to do. Dana tried that for a long time in the beginning and realized, no, we're not going to do that.
No, you've got to get them to beat up all the older guys, and then get their names big, and then go ahead and have those guys fight when they're number 1, number 2, or champion and number 1, or champion and number 2. John, I don't want to ruin either one of them because they're both hot right now. They're both carrying that division.
You're right.
You got DDP, Chimaev, and now these two guys have just exploded out of nowhere, and they're both carrying the division. I'm not trying to ruin one of them by having them fight each other. So, look, I understand what I want to see that fight, but I want to see it for the title or like for that 1 and 2 spot, I guess. I really don't even want to see it for 1 and 2 because I want to see one of them fight for the title. If he comes up short, then the other guy fights for the title. He comes up short, then you have them fight to see who's going to get back on the win track.
Then if you're going to sit there and you don't want that fight because you want to hold off with both, I totally understand. Then I would bring in Anthony Hernandez. Look, he had a great win. I know he's got another fight coming up, but he had a great win against Brendan Allen, and so Anthony Hernandez would be the guy because he's got a good ground game too. So he's not going to be in dire trouble, if he goes to the ground with RDR.
No, I would agree with you. I think that's a fantastic fight. I'd like to see that. Now that's fighting backwards because I think Hernandez is number 8 or 9. Yeah. But whatever. Look, Robert Whittaker gave you a chance. Yeah. Now it's your turn to give somebody else a chance. Absolutely. And look, and Fluffy's making his run right now too. So I could say, hey, he's making a good run, but he's a little bit further back. And I
do think Fluffy's got a fight coming up.
Oh, okay. But this is all based on things that we want to see. I'm not looking at who they're fighting next. I don't care. I didn't make that fight. I'm trying to make fights over here.
I'm making this one.
Yeah, right. So, but I do understand that. Why not like a Sean Strickland? Something that gets him a little bit closer to the title. Why not Izzy? Why not an Izzy fight?
See, I look at both of those, and they're both good fights. But I truthfully think Izzy and Sean should be the ones fighting each other. I look at that. Is Izzy?
We've seen that fight.
Hold on. Izzy was the champ and gave him a shot.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Izzy wants that rematch because he wants to get that mark back. I understand that. And that's, when you take a look and you go, two former champions fighting each other. It's been done, but it doesn't mean it's going to be the same fight. I'll take that fight again. So I look at both of those guys, and both of those guys have the stand up to obviously beat RDR, but they don't have the ground game to stay with him. I really look at Sean would have a better chance at staying with him on the ground and getting back to his feet. But, I think that right now when you're looking at, I want guys, I don't look right now as either Sean or Izzy being those guys, even though they're up in the rankings, but they're not the guys to win the title. I think that time is over. I look at RDR as a guy that he's got a chance of going and winning that title. I look at Barriault. He's a guy that's got a chance at winning that title. I look at Khamzat. He's a guy that's got a chance at winning that title. So those are the guys that, those are my guys that I think are the cream rising to the top. The other cream is starting to settle down just based upon age and, damage and everything that's happened in fights. But I still think that they have a place in the division. I just don't want to ruin one of that chance of putting those guys together by having them fight. Yeah, the individual that we're talking about.
Well, I mean, you can have RDR fight Imavov, or you can have Kai Bahalo fight Imavov.
And you're right about it. Imavov is that guy that you look and he's sitting there on the outside. He can beat anybody. And this is what I'm talking about with the 185s. Yeah. That's a real fight. Any of them.
It is.
RDR, Barriault, Khamzat, Imavov can beat any of them on a given day. So, this is what I'm saying about the 185s. It's the best I've ever seen as far as depth in that division right now, I think.
You know what? I would go ahead, George.
Imavov and Kai Bahalo are fighting September 7th.
There you go.
Yeah.
So now you got RDR, which I want to see him fight a Strickland or a Izzy next, or give Fluffy that chance. But Fluffy's on a run too. Fluffy's on a run too.
That's the whole point. I got two guys on a run.
No, I want to see the guy that just beat Robert Whittaker, a former champion. I want to see him beat another former champion, and either one of those guys.
Fluffy's fighting August 9th. He's fighting Roman Dolidze.
Oh, that's Fluffy?
Yeah. Yes, he's out of the picture, John. Let's give him Izzy, or let's give him Strickland. See, I was right. Let's do that.
You're gonna have to. Yeah. If Strickland won't fight Izzy, then give him RDR.
Yeah, exactly. Strickland or Izzy should fight RDR because there's going to be a long time frame in between. The winner of Kai Bahalo and Imavov is going to end up fighting for the title next.
Yeah,
or you could have DDP fight the loser of the title shot.
Damn, now you're already hold it. What DDP fight the loser of what?
No, I said you have RDR fight the loser of
I thought you said DDP
and Chimaev.
Okay.
No. You have RDR fight the loser of DDP and Chimaev.
Okay.
Because then the winner of the Imavov and Kai Bahalo is going to fight for the title. You would think. Because Imavov was the number one title. He was the number one contender. They're high on. They're high on Chimaev, and they're high on Kai Bahalo. So
they have options, and that's what makes it really good.
Yes. Which is not something they always had at the 185-pound division.
They've always struggled with 185 for the most part. So it's a good position for the UFC to be in. It's a good position for fans, as far as just watching the fights. I love it. Let's talk about Peter Yan going up against Mr. McGhee. What'd you think?
Look, I always knew that McGhee was tough. Always knew he was tough. I just always knew that he didn't have all the weapons that guys like Peter Yan have, guys that Corey Sandhagen have. He's good. He's tough. He's durable. He can take a shot. He's a grinder. He's great cardio. But when it comes to it being a science. He doesn't have that down. Like Peter Yan's got the trips. He's got the takedowns. He's got the boxing. He hides real well his chin. Defensive fighter, very good. Strikes really well off the offense. And so I knew if this fight came down to basically them being in the pocket and getting after it, he just wouldn't have the ability to really get Peter down well enough to control him from the top position. And on the feet, he would have had to catch Peter with something huge. And Peter he's technically sound on the feet, good boxing, stays high with the defense. I just figured it was a hard fight for him, but I got to be 100% honest, John. He fought way better than I gave him credit. I was giving him credit to do. He fought his ass off. I thought he fought a spectacular fight. It was just a little bit, just wasn't enough every round. He was close, but just not enough.
I agree with you totally. I thought the thing that I thought actually kept Marcus in the fight a lot, and Peter, you haven't seen this with him. He physically was much stronger than Yan. Oh. Piotr got moved around a lot by the just the physicality of Marcus McGhee. McGhee, he was not as skilled in the clinch and the shots that you can launch off of being in that close range. Piotr did a great job of making him pay for getting in that clinch at times and doing things. The foot sweeps, he was actually, I thought he trained well for, because Yan is really good with those. He stopped just about everything that happened. He got tripped up once. It happens to anyone. But I thought overall, although he lost the fight and he was number 12, this is where you lost the fight, you were number 12, you're going to be above that with the performance you put on, because Yan is still, no matter he's right in calling out, saying, hey, I want the winner of Sandhagen and Merab. I don't blame him. He should. He's worked his way back to that point, and so
absolutely,
we're going to see what happens with it. But I thought Marcus McGhee did a great job. He should not feel. Obviously, you want to win, but he's got nothing to feel bad about. He went out there, fought his ass off. Out to the right hand that he got hit with, straight down the pipe as he was coming in, and he took 2 steps backwards and just like, okay, I'm good. And I was like, Jesus Christ, man. That hit him as solid as Peter Yan can hit someone. And we know that Yan can hit. And it was like, well done, my man, because that would have hurt me.
Yeah, look, that's what my point was when I was trying to say that he's somebody that he can take the shot. And there's certain guys that you train with and you spar with, that you fight, where like when you hit them, it hurts you a little bit more. When you kick him, it hurts you. Like Yoel Romero. How many times did you hear when guys said, like, Luke Rockhold said, I kicked him. It was like kicking an iron post. Somebody else kicked him. I think Robert Whittaker said, like kicking his leg felt like I was kicking steel. Yeah. And it's just that feeling. There's certain guys, even when you're trying to do damage to them, it hurts you more. And you get into the wrestling, everything hurt. Dan Henderson has a body like that.
Oh, dude.
Shaking his hand, clinching with him.
I call him the oak tree. He's like hardwood. It's crazy.
Yeah. Anytime you clinch with him or do anything with him, it's like, oh, this is horrible. Everything about you it hurts.
Yeah, what the fuck? And dude, what is wrong with your skin? It doesn't move.
It doesn't. So that's what I look at Marcus McGhee, and I agree with you. He elevated his level 100% tonight. I feel like he's a guy that's not going to go down the rankings. If anything, he should maybe go up 1 or 2 spots. Get himself a little bit closer. He learned a lot of people's respect tonight. He completely outdid what I thought he'd be able to do. Yeah. I always knew he was tough. I didn't think that he'd be able to hang for 3 rounds. I thought that Peter Yan would get him out of there. Yeah. And he had moments in the fight that surprised me. Oh, so good for him.
Yeah. They look really good. It's one of those, like, I know he wanted to win the fight. He's going to be disappointed. He's got nothing to be disappointed about. He went out there and fought a great fight. It's just, like you said, little differences in each round gave it to Yan. All right, we got the Pirate, we got the Bullet, we got all these nicknames for Magomedov, the Ginger Pirate. I love him, man. But him against Marc-Andre Barriault, that turned into a great fight. Just a fantastic fight.
I was surprised.
So was I. I really thought.
Go ahead.
I thought the speed of Magomed Sharapov. I just looked and I thought the speed was going to give Barriault problems. I thought Shara was, too much movement. He's got too good of a stand-up. He's too technically good. He throws a lot of spinning attacks that can catch you. And I know that Marc-Andre had a great last fight, against Bruno Silva, but different style fighter. And we have seen that, Barriault can get touched and hurt. He actually did get touched and hurt in this fight, but came back. I mean, the shot that I saw as soon as he hit Chara with the right hand and it broke his nose. I saw it right away. I said, "Oh, it broke his nose." You could just see it right away as his head moved, and it was like Chara. He's like, "Okay, that hurt. I got to sit there. Let me sit." He came back, and this is where, Josh, there's guys that get hit with a shot, breaks your nose, and when you get your nose broken, it sucks. You can't breathe out of it. It hurts every time anyone touches it. All these things, and you've seen guys that they start to shy away from the fight based upon that, and he didn't do that at all. He just hung in there and really started putting it on Barriault. Actually came back in that round and was doing well at the end of the round. It wasn't enough, in my opinion, to win the round. I thought Barriault won the round, but he came back in the third round and just took the fight.
Yeah. I mean, I got to be honest. Chara Bullet was so much faster. And the movement was just giving Marc-Andre so much headaches.
Yeah.
He just couldn't figure out the range, the distance. He was dipping his head, just throwing punches, almost running into the fence. Yeah. Chara does a good job of fighting with his back off the fence too. He's got his back foot on that fence. Surprisingly, he waits for you to come. He's good at judging the distance and then circling out. What he doesn't do enough of, though, is countering off that circle. He's good at just getting out. He should be somebody that does a lot more damage off of that circle out. Because guys like Andre Barriault, he basically just kept walking forward, head down, throwing the shot. You could have capitalized on doing that. But I'm not trying to discredit what he did. He fought a good fight, got hit clean, broken nose, shit was turned sideways. I had people texting me going, "Man, his nose is fucked." I said, "Yeah, it is." Yeah. So
it's what we call
I thought Chara fought a good fight.
Yeah, it was turned into a great fight.
But I thought it ended up being a way better fight than I thought. I thought Chara Bullet might run away with it because of the speed factor. But if he did get taken down, he did get mauled for one round. If that would have happened, it could have started changing the way the fight went. It never happened, though. So, good fight, though.
All right, then we had Almabayev versus Ochoa, who we had recently seen against Cody Durden in the fight from Atlanta. Quick return, but wasn't capable of stopping a lot of what Almabayev does, and that is good wrestling, strong ground and pound, a lot of control.
Yeah.
And he wasn't able to really stop that with his stand-up.
Yeah, it just came out of the wrestling, John.
Yeah.
It was just the grind, the constant pressure, and it was just not, there was no answer for it. I mean, the fight, maybe it seemed a little closer than it was, that kind of thing, but because there was not a lot of damage either done by Almabayev when he did get to the top position. Missed the hooks quite a bit, in certain positions. So he had one hook in, kind of hanging off, not really getting control, but he was always in the top position or always grinding against the fence. He's good, man. He's really good. He's going to have to open up his striking a little bit more. He doesn't have bad striking.
No.
His striking's not bad. He just doesn't throw enough of it. Everything is 1, 2, just to set up his takedown. If he committed to a couple extra shots, I think his takedowns would come a little bit easier and smoother. But, hey, who am I to judge, man? Whatever you're doing is working, so just keep doing what you're doing.
This is true. All right, we had Nikita Krylov, who we had just recently seen going up against Bogdan Guskov. Oh, dude, I'll tell you what, from the beginning, Nikita was having problems with the range. He was having problems with the angles that Bogdan throws at, and the shot that he got hit with, man, dude, beautifully executed.
You think he was having problems with the range? I thought he was figuring the range out, and he was landing some clean stuff. He was landing some nice shots on Guskov.
Yeah, really, everything he landed was at the end of, it didn't land with power. He had a couple that did, but overall, most of his shots were either hitting off of the arms or they were at the end and had no effect on Bogdan. And I thought Bogdan really had him in where Bogdan was feeling comfortable with his counters. And Nikita Krylov was just having that. You could see him I'm trying to rush this. I'm trying to overextend a little just to get to him to put power on it. And it just wasn't happening enough to make Bogdan respect him.
Interesting. I looked at it a little bit differently. I thought Krylov was who's having a little bit of success with keeping the range. I thought where he was walking him down and he was able to touch him in moments when he needed to. Guskov, though, was just somebody that he always looks like he's in trouble. When he backs away, his hands are out. When he circles, his hands are down. Like everything is like something you would tell a fighter never to do. This fucking guy does. And you're just like, hey, don't do that. Circle with your hands up. Okay, circle out. Hands here, like just nothing. Everything's down by his waist. He's moving around. His hands are all over the place. But man, when he connects, shit, you know. He put him down and it was done. It was done quick. And then he went belly down and I just saw his head go from side to side. Krylov's head go side to side. I was like, oh, and I was waiting for the ref. I'm like, please. As soon as he took one where his head just went limp, the ref jumped in. Beautifully done by the ref, by the way.
Perfect stop by Goddard. He did it right at the right time. But, I mean, you look and you go, where do you go with Krylov now? That's 2 in a row that he's been stopped. You know, this is a guy that they were kind of looking at. You know, he was moving up in the ranks, and this, you know, hey, he's going to have his chance. Now he's going right back down. What do you do with him?
You know, John, I don't know. We have to see how all this shakes out when it comes to that division right now. I mean, that's the weakest division in the sport, and it's considered to be the weakest division in the sport.
It used to be the glamour division. You know,
it was the division that kept the sport going
for how long? Oh yeah, it kept it going.
We wouldn't be anywhere without the 205 pound.
That's it.
You know, like you have Frank Shamrock, Tito Ortiz, Chuck Liddell. I mean, like it's the list goes on and on and on because of those guys at 205.
But, I mean, you can go back to the point where, it was Tito and Chuck, and then Randy came in. And when Randy beat, Chuck, that was like a huge thing. And then, they had that great trilogy between those guys, and it just made that division. And then Rampage came in, and it was a glamour division for a while. Now, it's trouble.
Yeah. I mean, it is in trouble. The heavyweight division maybe has like one more fighter than the 205 pound division. So both of those divisions are weak. But the heavyweight division has been notoriously weak, except for when they took over Strikeforce. It was like flooded with a bunch of other heavyweights that came from Strikeforce, and it was stacked. But the rest of the time, the heavyweight division had always sucked. There was only like 3 or 4 guys that were ever that good. And then, after 1 or 2 knockouts, we never heard from them again.
All right, jumping all the way then back to the beginning. First fight of the preliminaries was one of your boys, Buchecha, taking on.
I missed it.
Oh, you didn't see it?
I missed it.
I was going to ask you, it's okay that you didn't see it. But, he obviously his jiu-jitsu is freaking off the charts. But he was fighting Martin Buday. And I swear to God, there was moments when Buday was in there against him, and it looked like a chubbier Cain Velasquez. I was like, damn. He had the shaved head, and it just the way he was kind of trying to move it a little bit and stuff. I was like, damn, Buday almost looks like Cain Velasquez. But it actually turned into it was a tough fight. But let's go back to the main card there and get on with what we had going. When you take a look at the opening fight, Bryce Mitchell.
What made you think of that? What made you drop all the way down to the first fight of the
heavyweights?
Night?
We were talking heavyweights.
Oh, heavyweights. I was like, where did that come from? You jumped all the way down to the first fight of the night? Really?
Anytime I can bring Cain Velasquez back into the light, I do that. No.
This is true. Smart.
But we had Bryce Mitchell coming in, fighting bantamweight for the first time. 135 going up against Saidan Nurmagomedov. What'd you think of the fight?
I thought it was a good fight. I thought it was a great fight for Bryce to come in on because I was a little concerned because Said's really good. He's just good movement, all those things. And Bryce is not a fast fighter. But I knew if Bryce was able to get his hands on him, he'd have an opportunity to get this fight to the ground and control the game. But could he take him down? Could he control him? Would he be able to attack submissions? Would he not? Like towards the end of the fight, he was just controlling top position. No threats of submissions. Just it kind of upset me a little because I want to see you finish fights. Bryce Mitchell is a good grappler, but you've got to look. I know that this is your first time at 135. Did the weight cut affect him a little bit in the later rounds? Because he didn't look tired, but what he didn't look like, he wasn't overly aggressive in trying to attack the submissions. And that makes me think that you were maybe a little bit more tired than you wanted to be because you didn't want to lose position because the fight was a good fight. It was back and forth battles, close rounds, whatever it was, good scrambles. But all of those things, you don't know how the judges are going to score it. It really comes down to that, especially we're in Abu Dhabi or Dubai or wherever. Like, you don't know. And, I wonder if over there, if they hold a little grudge against Bryce Mitchell a little bit here and there. So if he went over there and, and it was a close fight, What do you think think's gonna happen? So, look, I thought he fought good for his first fight at 135. I think he belongs at 135. As long as it's not a problem for him making the weight, I think he belongs there.
I look at it, I thought that Bryce Mitchell actually had a game plan in this. That hey, we've watched Nurmagomedov multiple times. He gets tired. We've seen him get tired in the past. So let's just push him as much as we can in the beginning first round. Let's try to put a lot of pressure on him. Let's get him where his arms are getting a little heavy, where he starts to slow down. And I think that's really why he won the fight. He got hit with a huge knee, in the beginning of that fight. That hurt him bad. He survived that, but it was, he lost that first round, and then he comes back. He wins the second round, and by the third round, Nurmagomedov was tired, and Bryce actually had gas, and that was the difference in the fight. I mean, it's not, again, it's to sit there and say, why didn't you finish the fight? Nurmagomedov is good. It's not to sit there and say you're going to get a submission against him. Not exactly. But there were moments, and this is what the whole thing I was thinking of when I'm watching that fight is Bryce has got to get his head off of, I'm on the ground, I'm looking for a submission all the time. There was times, if you remember, he had the arm, in what would end up being a straight arm lock if he was able to get his other hand to it, or it could have turned to the Kimura. But, he's got Said's arm out straight. And that's his far arm, and he's got his other arm underneath Nurmagomedov's head. And all he's got to do, put it over the top and start bringing elbows. Put it over the top, bring elbows down. Do things to damage your opponent so the submission becomes easier. And right now, he doesn't do that. He's looking for the submission. He wants the submission, and so he's trying to force it. He tried forcing the head and arm choke. How many times? How many times in the fight you're looking, stop trying to force it. Do the things that are going to make it happen easily. And that's where he really has to change as a fighter. If he does that, when he gets to the ground, man, he's dangerous. He's dangerous in the fact that you're worried about those submissions. So it's going to open up the strikes because you are worried about his positioning and his submission attempts.
Yeah, I look at Bryce. I think he's got the ability to make a splash in the 135-pound division. I think it's good. This group of fighters, they're going to learn a lot from Bryce because of the pressure, the relaxation, his ability to be aggressive in the wrestling. Obviously he needs to work on his striking, but he won't get bullied around at 135 like he was at 145.
I agree.
Those guys at 145 started bullying him around. It just was too much.
Yeah.
And so I think him being at 35 is a good move for him. He's going to have to work on his striking though, because the speed's going to get him with the hands and the kicks if he doesn't work on his defense, at least defensive striking. Yeah. So I think it's a good move for him. Said's a tough fight, good intro fight for him at 135, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens for Bryce Mitchell next.
Yeah. All right, we had I don't know if you saw. Did you see Salikhov against Leal?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Oh, baby. This is what happens when you give little respect to a guy that has been knocking people out for a major part of his career. I mean, it was
you hear him yelling at the end? You hear him yelling at the end? 41 years old. You hear him yelling at the end of it. It's 41 years old.
It's true. But again, 41, but he's still fast. He has his hand speed is there. And so, that's what you're really looking for. I mean, when does the speed that has made you successful, if that's where it is, there's guys that never had speed, and they were great fighters. But when you have that speed like Salikhov has, and then it starts to go away, that's when things become troublesome. That's when you're not landing the shots that you normally were able to get on target before. That's when you're not getting out of the way of the big shots. So right now at 41, he's still, he can still fight. I'm 100% behind him. Absolutely. Continuing on.
Absolutely. He's explosive. The spinning attacks are there. Like, he's got the power in his hands. He still has that speed. He does slow down later in the fight if it gets to that point, but his job is not to let it get to that point. That's what he's been trying to do. A lot of spinning attacks, a lot of big shots, a lot of big overhands, whatever it is. He tries to finish fights, and the UFC loves that. They're going to let him continue to fight. He's got a fun style, John.
He does.
He either gets
he's
drug
not the
into
Kung
deep
Fu
waters.
Panda, but he's the king of Kung Fu.
No, but I love watching him fight. So he's explosive and he's fun, and he's still, like you said, he still has a little bit of that speed left. He's got the power still, obviously. I did not see the Grant Davey and Blackshear fight.
Yeah.
But I did watch the Amanda Ribas and Ricci. And
Now, how would I know that you would watch the Amanda Ribas and Tabitha Ricci fight, but not the male fight? Okay, I got it.
I hate to tell you, man, but I'm a human.
I don't blame you for that one. Look, I'm going to say that Davy Grant and Damone Blackshear. Look, Davy Grant is an older fighter, but he is a tough son of a bitch that keeps coming forward and throwing shots. Damone Blackshear took him down in the first round and dominated the round, did a great job. And then from that point was not able to get Davy Grant on the ground again. And that's what lost him the fight. So in fact, some of the shots that he was taking, he was getting deep on, and Davy Grant was able to fight it off. And so, if you're going to rely on your ground game, you better be able to get that fight to the ground. And Davy Grant did a great job of just touching, moving, fighting off the takedown attempts. He won the last 2 rounds. He definitely won the fight. It was a nice win for Davy Grant. And too bad for Damone, because Damone was on it. He was on a roll. He was on a couple fight win streak. So he's going to have to regroup and figure out, what do I do to get people where I need them to be? Because on the ground, he is very good.
Yeah.
All right, Tabitha Ricci against Amanda Ribas. What did you think?
Good fight. I mean, look, it just came down to that. Ricci's just aggressive. She's nonstop, like the Energizer Bunny. She keeps pushing the pace. She keeps wanting to get to the clinch, get to the grind. She's just dirty and grimy. Like, you take a look at her, she's dirty and grimy against the fence. And on the outside, when there's gaps between you or space between you, she's moving. She's looking to set things up to close that distance, get you back against. She knew that she had to press Amanda Ribas to the fence or get her to the ground. Just be that fighter. Overwhelm her. Because Ribas wants space. She wants distance to go ahead and land shots and make it a boxing/kickboxing match. But Ricci was like, nah, I'm good. I'll take this fight wherever I want. Stay in your grill, fight you in a phone booth, and just make it grimy. And that's ultimately what won her the fight, was the elbows. It was just keeping it in that space where you can't do a lot of damage to me, but I can do damage to you.
Those elbows were awesome. The fact, Josh, how many times have we talked about it? I tell fighters all the time, look, you get to the elbows. This is what you want to do here. Elbows hurt. It is a hard bone, man. And I tell you, that elbow she threw went right in the eye socket of Amanda Ribas. And people are going to...
Isn't that a penalty? Isn't that a foul?
Dude, I had someone actually text me and say, isn't that a foul? It's like, shut up. Foul? She fucking hit her with a beautiful shot. And it's like, they absolutely do damage. And if you can land elbows and landing elbows up in the clinch against the fence, it's a good weapon, man. More people need to start going to that because it works.
Yeah. John, I know you want to talk about. I didn't get to watch the Ibo Aslan fight and Billy Elekana.
Yeah, you didn't want to watch it. Neither one deserved to win that one. It just wasn't.
I did read some of the play-by-play, and people were talking about how Ibo is just he needs to do something. Like, he's just not the same fighter he was when he came into the UFC. They don't know what it is, but he needs to find a new camp. He needs to, I don't know. I didn't see this fight, but he's got to make some changes.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can agree with that or not.
Yeah, you can't rely on making a career of knocking people out. I mean, guys with incredible power are going to have fights that they don't knock somebody out. And when you think that, I can land that one shot, and so you keep waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting to land that one shot, the fight is passing you by. You have got to throw your hands. This is, we talk about all the time. Touch them. Every time that you try to knock someone out, it just doesn't seem to happen. When you just touch people, all of a sudden the one gets in there. It doesn't feel any different than the others, but it's, it's the way you threw it and the way it hits the target, it puts him down and then the fight's over. He has got to change up from being a one-dimensional, I am a knockout, artist, and start just being a good, solid, hard-hitting fighter that puts a lot of damage on people. He'll start winning.
I agree. Let's go ahead and talk about the fight that you want to talk about.
Oh, we had Stephen Nguyen taking on Mohamed Yahya. And, this fight, so many people, have contacted me over this fight so far. And it's like, I have Yahya getting knocked down 6 times in the first round. 6 times. That's a UFC record. And if you recall, a while ago we talked about Khalil Roundtree going up against Eric Anders, and he knocked him down 4 times with solid knockdowns in that round. And Jason Herzog was the referee, and he didn't stop the fight. And it ended up being we use that as a criteria for judging as far as a 10-7 round. Overwhelming as far as the amount of damage. You get knocked down with a hard shot that many times. Well, this one is 6. And I had many of the judges that were at Abu Dhabi texting me at the time that were not on the fight saying, you got to tell me that has got to be a 10-7. I said, absolutely, that's a 10-7 round, right? They go, none of the judges here gave it a 10-7. The ones doing the fight. And I'm like, that's because they're afraid to. They're afraid now to frickin' do their job. Well, look at when you're that guy on the outside that, you're not in the States. And if you take a look at the people that were, judging that, a lot of them are in Europe and they want to work. And so they're taking the safe route of saying, you know what, it's the 10-8 when they're not giving the fighter, Stephen Nguyen, what he deserves for what he did in that round, which is it had to be a 10-7 round. This kid knocked his opponent down, and some of them, not all of them were great knockdowns, but a couple of them were solid and absolutely hurt Yahya. And then, he made it, and Jason Herzog, again, was the referee for this one. And so, and I've talked to Jason about the fight, and, he makes it into the second round. And at the start of the second round, it's funny because Jason, told me, he goes, I didn't think he would make it through the second round. And I'm sitting there watching. I said, this kid ain't going to make it through the second round. And you look, and there was moments. There was a moment that he could have stopped the fight on one of the next knockdowns that happened, I think, because there was 8 total. He didn't. And then we had so much damage to the eye that you take a look. And this is those ones, Josh, that we talk about. There's a difference between refereeing a preliminary fight, one of the first couple fights of the night, preliminary, new fighter to the UFC coming in, gets his shot and everything. There's a difference between reffing what you'll allow to go on in that fight and what you'll allow to go on in that main event type fight. There's just, you can't let the people that are in those lower fights take too much damage, because when they've shown that, they're not going to win this fight, and you can see it. You're lying to yourself if you sit there and you think that at the point where Muhammad Yahya's eye swells up to the point he can't see out of it, to sit there and say, oh, he's going to win. He has a chance of winning this fight. He does not. He has lost that. He's lost the first round. It should have been 10-7. It was 10-8 on all the scorecards. He has now lost the second round badly. And you look and you go, hey, there's no point in putting this kid out there to receive more damage. Jason was right. He stopped the fight after the second round ended. It could have been stopped even sooner. And probably, I'm being honest, should have, based upon why am I going to allow this kid to get more damage when he's not going to win this fight? So it's one of those, a lot of people, I had people, I said, because I put out on Twitter, basically, hey, if you want to be a judge, this is what a 10-7 looks like. And the first guy reported, well, none of the judges gave it a 10-7. I said, and that's the problem. Because it is. It is the problem.
It's just something that doesn't happen. It's not common, so they don't see many of them, so they don't want to overdo it.
You're right. It's
once you give it 10-7, the fight's over.
Yeah.
Once you give it 10-7, pretty much the fight's over.
Yep.
And so, unless it's a 5-round fight, there's an opportunity to come back. But in a 3-round fight, the fight's pretty much done.
Yeah.
So unless you finish the fight, I looked at it. I had a little bit of hope. For the one that had the swollen eye, I had a little bit of hope for him because he dropped.
Oh, Yahya, dude, in the second round.
In the second round, right after, I was like, oh, he's going to get it. Oh, my God, it's going to be wild.
Yeah.
And then he got dropped himself, and I was like, okay, this is it. This is done. But to go back on what you were saying, with Jason, I like the fact that he did not stop the fight. I liked it. I didn't want to see the nail in the coffin. But every time he got dropped, it wasn't he kind of sat back to his back and played guard a second. He's like, okay, come to me. No, not much. Like, he took some shots every once in a while.
On most of them, yes, but on a couple of them, no, he was in dire trouble.
He was in dire trouble, but his opponent, though, too, that moments was like almost like he was second guessing whether he should go after it or not and finish it. Like, jump into him and get after it. Like, just do it.
You said it because this is where, as the referee, you're in there and this guy knocks him down and then he does, puts his hands up like this, like, and just stands there. And this guy's not out. Yeah. You're going, you dumb. Will you do me a favor and go after him so I can stop this fight? Because I can't stop it right now while you're just standing there and he is not in a position where he can't defend himself. It's like, you're killing me. But it's a good fight for people to look at. You want to know what a 10-7 round is? Watch the first round of that fight.
I'm going to go back in history. Was it the first fight? It was the first fight with Frankie Edgar and Gray Maynard. Was that a 10-7 round, the first round?
What's that? I'm sorry.
When Frankie Edgar and Gray Maynard fought. Yeah. Was that a 10-7 round? I think it was the first fight, first round. Was that a 10-7 round?
Yes. It was, again, the judges went 10-8. That should have been a 10-7 round. You take a look at how much damage was done to Frankie, how much he was in trouble. Now, he came back, but he didn't come back with anything that was doing anything to Gray in that round. And we've looked at it over and over, and we've all agreed that is a 10-7 round.
Jeez. So that's another analogy. Right? That's another example you can give.
Yep.
All right. Well, hey, that's going to wrap up our UFC talk. And George, you got some news for us. But before we go on to the news, I want you guys to subscribe to us over at OnlyFans. We do a live show every Tuesday night at 9:30 Eastern Time. It's available on OnlyFans as well. We take questions from our OnlyFans channel first. And also, if you're a member on our YouTube channel, join our memberships at $4.99. We have a giveaway coming along. This month, we're going to be doing a giveaway, probably two of you guys, because I think we owe you one from like a month ago. So 2 people we're going to be giving to giveaway to, and I'll be sending you off a box of LMNT. And I want to thank you guys so much for continuing to support our show. Let's talk about some news. What else you got for us?
All right. Well, announced on the broadcast tonight for UFC 319, Aaron Pico has been rescheduled to fight an undefeated Lerone Murphy. What do you guys think about this matchup?
I have no idea why you took this fight. You went from Evolov, who's like basically considered to be the number 1 contender, and this is stylistically, this is a tough fight. I'm not saying that Aaron can't win this fight. This is a tougher fight for him than the Evolov fight. I wanted to see the Evolov fight because the two of them can wrestle. The boxing favors Pico a little bit. The physical size will favor Evolov, and maybe even some of the wrestling. Maybe even some of the grappling will favor Evolov. But I think the wrestling, Pico's going to be in there. For sure going to mix it up with him and wrestle with him. But this is not college wrestling. This is not freestyle. This is not Olympic caliber wrestling. This is wrestling for MMA. So that's where the difference lies. And I want to see Evolov has perfected the wrestling in MMA. Pico, I don't know if he has yet. But that's the fight that I always wanted to see. So I'm being sour right now. I'm being fucking salty as hell, like my element. Okay, I'm being salty. So I wanted to see that fight. I really did. I'm sad that it didn't happen. But the Lerone Murphy fight to me is Pico's going to have to close that distance. He cannot let Lerone Murphy stay on the outside. He's got to close that distance, get him in there. I think he has the opportunity to take him down, but he's going to take some shots coming in.
Yeah, he is. But you're sitting there saying that this is a harder fight for him than Evolov. I don't think it is. I'm going to, you and I, most of the time we agree on a lot of things, and every now and then we kind of veer off. And so I'm going to veer off on this one. I actually think this is a better fight for Aaron Pico. Let me
rephrase that. A harder fight. I shouldn't have said harder fight. Let me rephrase that. Not a harder fight. There is a lot more risk in this fight. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. Totally makes sense.
The speed, the flying knees, the things that we have seen.
One of the things is, I would like to know, and I don't know, are they going to make this a 5-round fight? Because it's not the main event; it's the co-main event, right? George.
Mm-mm. George.
I'll look it up. I don't have that.
All right.
But no matter what, if there's one thing about Murphy, you're looking at Lerone, he is a dynamic, explosive fighter. But so is Aaron Pico. Aaron Pico's got speed. If there's one thing that Aaron Pico has a huge advantage of, it is the wrestling. Now, Lerone is good at his defensive wrestling, but he has never faced anybody that has the hand speed and the ability to put those hands on target like Aaron Pico with the wrestling also included in the package.
According
Never.
to MMA Uncensored, they said it will be a 5-round fight.
But right there tells me everything I need to know, because that means Laurent has got to get rid of Aaron Pico by the end of the second round, or he is in trouble, because there's going to be a huge difference in their ability to continue to motor at that RPM that Aaron Pico is going to bring. Laurent's not going to bring it. Aaron's going to bring it. And that RPM, he's got to match it. There's no choice. And the way to match it is I have to match it, or I have to stop it by hurting it. Now, he can do that. I'm not saying he can't. He's a great fighter. But he's going to have to hurt Aaron and make it so Aaron brings it down. So he's in that position. That's one of the elements working against him. And if he doesn't, Josh, Aaron Pico is a cardio monster. And Murphy, Laurent ends up slowing down. And if he slows down against Aaron, Aaron's going to up it up. He's going to bump it. Yep. And I just look at this fight and I go, people are going to start to see, because Aaron Pico started off as a boy in this sport. And, people jumped on him and stuff like that. He is a man now. He is a man that has been practicing his craft. He has made everybody in the last couple of fights, he has had no problems with people. He had the one that he got stopped by Junior Bacon Cheeseburger Kennedy. He got stopped by him by separating his own shoulder.
Jeremy Kennedy.
Jeremy Kennedy. But he made it all the way through the fight, through the round with a separated shoulder, and then tried to pop it back in. They couldn't get it back in. Other than that, that's the only thing that stopped him in how many years now?
Yeah.
And so could that happen to him again? Sure, it could happen to him again. But I look at, I honestly think, and I think the UFC's matchmakers look at this the same way as I'm looking at it, is stand by, people. Just stand by, because you're going to be incredibly impressed with what's coming your way.
Yeah, he's a fun fighter to watch. He's got power in his hands. I felt it. I've been on the receiving end of it in training and sparring. So he's got power. He's got that power, and he can wrestle. His wrestling doesn't look like it's anything spectacular, but man, it gets the job done. The guy can wrestle. He's a world-class wrestler. Now, I know he stepped away for years from wrestling, so I don't know how much it's evolved or if it's even stayed the same, but it's in him. He's been wrestling since he was fucking 6 years old or 5 years old. He's been one of the best wrestlers in the world for the longest period of time. So, he forego going to college and wrestle. He really didn't even wrestle in high school. He won state, I think, in high school as an 8th grader.
Similar to a Henry Cejudo.
What's the point? Yeah. What is the point? Let's just go ahead and wrestle internationally, and let's go ahead and chase our dreams. And that's exactly what he did. So now he's back inside. Now he's going to be in the cage. This is, to me, is, like I said, a more dangerous fight. Whereas Evloev is not throwing flying knees. He's not going to be trying to hit, a whole lot of submissions. He's going to just try and wear on you, grind on you, and really just try to do damage from the top if he can get to the top position against Pico. Laurent Murphy's going to be a fun fight. It's going to be fun, but there is more danger there, especially early in the fight. Each round. The first minute of every round is going to be dangerous. So, good fight. What else you got, George?
All right. So, Dakota Ditcheva was on the Ariel Helwani show, and in a quote, I can sum it up a little bit for you if you don't want to listen, but she said, "I don't even want the belt. I want an unbeaten record, and that's it. I get perks anyway. I am the face of the PFL." What do you guys think about this mindset?
She's already got the belt. George, she's already got the belt. Let's be honest. Okay, so to sit there and say, I don't even want the belt. You've already got the belt. Okay, so you've got the belt, and I actually...
I think she's talking in risk of losing the belt.
Well, it's... You can't have an unbeaten record.
Say, if you ever talk to billionaires and they've got a jet and they've got a fucking yacht, they're like, I don't even fucking want the yacht. Yeah, but you got it still, right? Like you still have it.
Yeah, that's it.
It's easy to say when you already have something.
But you can't sit there and say, I don't even want the belt. I just want the unbeaten record. Well, if you're going to hold the belt, you got to hold that undefeated record. Okay, because you can't have both. If you lose a belt, that means you got a 1 on the loss column of your record. I look at Dakota and I appreciate her. I didn't give her enough credit in the beginning of her career. I thought, she was being propped up by the PFL, and I didn't blame them. She was, she's pretty, she fights well, and so I thought, they're trying to build her, and they're giving her opponents that are absolutely, tailor made for her style and what she does. But in the last couple of fights, she's proven she's a fighter, and she's a tough fighter. Yeah. She's a mean fighter, and she goes after people. And at 125 pounds, she can fight with anybody in the world. There's no doubt about it. She's that good. Is she going to be able to go through her career as undefeated? Who knows? She's got to continue to get better, just like everybody that if you're in that position. And that's going to show a lot of mentally where she's at and who she is as a person. Because when you are sitting on top, and she did re-sign with the PFL, and that's good for her, but, you got to get excited, because when you start getting bored with what's occurring, you start to miss workouts, and you start pushing things to the side, and other things become more important. And, we've all seen what happens. Once a fighter decides there are other things out on this side that are more important than the fighting side, that's when that L will come.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't see the L coming for a while, but I do like the fact that what you brought up is like being motivated when you see opponents in front of you you've already beaten, but there's still people there for her to fight. And I think those people, she's still young enough to make another run in the PFL and then turn around and sign a nice contract with the UFC. I think she can do that. And I wouldn't be surprised if she continues to win. Sure, she's the face of the PFL, but there's only so much the PFL can do for her at a certain point. Sure, the money could be there. It's up to her whether she wants to keep taking the money or if she wants to fight out her contract after she does this and be like, look, I beat up everyone you have. All the other girls that are available are going to be available are over in the UFC. They may do a trade. There was already talk of them trading her and Merab, before. So that fell through. Merab became champion. And it's already public, John. I know. It's already public. They talked about it already.
I never
they
put
already
it
talked
out
about
there.
it. So I know. But bottom line is that she can still do something for the next couple years, be successful in PFL, and the PFL could trade her at the hottest part. You need her right now. Her and Valentina would be a great fight, but that fight could still happen in another year and a half or 2 years. That could still happen. And then who knows? Who may rise to the occasion at 125 pounds for Dakota to fight? There might be another female that steps up. Who knows? Like, there's fights to be had there, but that can spruce it up in another year and a half or 2 years. Yeah. But I like what she's doing. Take the easy money while you can. And I'm not saying these females that she's fighting are easy money, but what it is that these are the ones that are with the UFC or with the PFL. These are the only ones that are going to be coming. Like the new ones that come in, they're not going to be on the level of the ones you've already fought. Tatiana Santos or whatever is, or Santos, Liz Carmouche, Juliana Velasquez. They're not going to be that level. So it's going to be hard to find a female that's that level outside of the UFC that's coming in. It's not going to happen. Like Dakota Ditcheva is like a diamond in the rough. They found her. They had a couple good fights with her, and then she blew up. She took it to the next level. But it's bred into her. Her mother was a former, fighter. Like it's bred in her. She knows exactly her brother's her pad holder. It's in her family. Like you knew when they signed her, this is what she wanted to do. So I think she's going to have a long career. She's still really young, and good for her. Yeah. Make that money. What else?
Go, George.
All right. So after Dustin Poirier's retirement last weekend, Demetrius Johnson had some words reflecting on Dustin's career, and he's been facing some backlash for it. I'm going to play the audio for you. I want you guys to give me your opinion on it.
I mean, a long career of the ups and downs, the knockouts, him knocking people out, him submitting people, him getting submitted. I mean, his career is kind of like up and down. Very successful because he's made a lot of money. Never became like the undisputed champion, but interim champion he was. But yeah, he was. What's all that music coming from? Yeah. But when it came to like the brawls, I think Dustin probably had one of the best brawls when he would fight. One of the best brawls when he fight. But guys.
So, do you guys think his backlash is warranted?
I saw that by Demetrius, and I saw what he was talking about, and it was like, when you're looking at all of that, and there's nothing you can do in any way that's honest, in my opinion, of looking at Dustin Poirier's career, and we've talked about it multiple times. Again, he has the greatest resume of any fighter I've ever seen as far as the amount of talent that he fought, fight to fight to fight. The brawl that he had with Hooker is the only one that wasn't against a former or current champion, in there. And it was one of the greatest fights ever. One of the best damn fights I've ever seen. You're looking at a guy in Poirier that was fighting a guy in Dan Hooker who won the first 2 rounds and he was lighting Dustin up. And this is where all right, this guy is just a different animal in that Dan Hooker is a beast. And he won those first 2 rounds. And Josh, of too many people, that you have worked with and worked around that would have said, all right, I'm not going to beat this guy. Let me just, I'll protect myself, but I'm not going to, sit here and get hurt more. I'm just going to, try to defend and I'll try to get through the fight without it looking too bad. Yeah. There's those guys out there, and that's okay. I'm not, putting them down. It's just the mindset that they have. And then you have the people that have the mindset of a Dustin Poirier of that son of a bitch hurt me and he hurt me bad. And you know what? I'm going to end up having to get hurt really bad so I can try to hurt him. And yep, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just walk through fire and I'm going to get burned and it's going to hurt. And let's see how much I can take. 'Cause that's what he did in that fight. And he's done it in multiple fights. And again, you look at Demetrius Johnson, you cannot take anything away from what he's done as a MMA fighter, as being a champion, as holding on to that title forever, as going over to one and, getting the title there, then losing it, and then getting it back. Look, I would never say anything bad. I think Demetrius is one of the greatest ambassadors and greatest spokesmen and greatest fighters that have ever been in MMA. But there's no way in the world you can compare the people that Demetrius Johnson has fought and the people that Dustin Poirier has fought. There is a different level to the type of opponent there is. DJ's fought some good people, but not one after the other like Dustin Poirier. And that was when he was champion, and that's not his fault. That was the level that was around him. But Dustin Poirier happened to be in the 2 divisions that he fought in, 155 being the actual greatest division there's been in the sport of MMA overall as far as talent and the fights that we've seen.
Say that again, John.
I know.
That again,
dude,
John?
you don't know how hard that I had a bubble here.
It was
that
rough.
out.
I get
but
it.
He fought in that, and then he fought 145. I don't know how he made 145, but he did fight at 145 and then went back to 155. And you look and you go, you cannot do anything but bow down and say, thank you to Dustin Poirier for everything that he brought to the sport, both as an athlete, as an ambassador, and someone that represented this sport in the way he did. He's a Hall of Famer.
I'm not going to even talk about what he said. I'm just going to say this. When you decide to retire and you leave the sport of MMA and you now decide to get into podcasting or broadcasting or whatever it is, expect this type of shit. Doesn't matter what you could have pumped somebody up, but you said one thing that they didn't like, and all of a sudden, this is the world we live in now.
True.
Like, remember this. People love DJ. They love DJ a lot more than they ever loved me. But it's just a matter of time before it starts to turn on tables on him.
Oh, yeah.
They're already finding reasons not to like him. Like he's only been in the podcast industry for a year and a half now. It's going to turn quickly here. Yeah. The further he gets removed from when he fought and more stuff that he says, doesn't matter what it is. Remember, for every person he says something a little bit negative about, tiny bit, even though if it could be the truth or not the truth, whatever it is, a little negative thing, there's fans of that fighter that automatically now hate you. So
True.
Now do that for 50 something fights a year. You've pissed off every fucking fan of every fighter. At some point, you're going to say something about a fighter that their fans are not going to like, and they're going to come at you.
True.
And their number one comment, or their number one and number two comments are, yeah, you have CTE, you're retarded. Okay, that's number one. And number two is, you were never that good. They're gonna say, like, DJ, you fought a weak weight class. They're gonna tell me you were never that good. You never won a UFC title. They're gonna say, no matter what they're gonna say something. Sure. They're gonna say it. Yep. And if they can't pitch that argument, they'll find some other argument to get to you. But those are their two things, and it's coming. It's coming, DJ. And no matter what you do, man, the longer you stay in this podcast space or in this commentary space, that's what they're going to do to you. So just get used to it. Have thick skin, my man, and roll with the punches.
Totally.
Bro. So, all right, George, give us one more. If you have one more, give us another one.
All right. So this one coming in from your good friend, Daniel Cormier. He was actually talking to DJ on a podcast, but he said that his son is in 8th grade right now, and he is having his son redo 8th grade for football. I just wanted your guys' perspective as a father. What do you guys think about that? I didn't do sports growing up, so I didn't have that possibility. I had to redo grades for other reasons, but
Okay.
I never redone a grade. But what do you guys think about that?
Way to be honest,
maybe
there,
that's
George.
the problem. Maybe you should have done.
Maybe you should have done another goddamn grade. I will tell you that I'm going to be long-winded here. As someone that went through school and I was bumped up in my grades and ended up being, almost just 17 when I was graduate. Well, no, I was 17 going into college. And man, I'll tell you what, you're at a disadvantage. If you want to be an athlete, if you want to compete in college athletics, when you're 17 and you're competing against 22, 23-year-olds, there's a huge difference. And this is what I talk about. We talk about it with fighters that, have been fighting in the UFC. Chase Hooper, when he first started with the UFC, you looked and he just didn't have he had skill, he had technical skill, but he didn't have the body to be able to deal with some of the guys that were in that cage with him. And it showed. And you'll find that, I talk about, the greatest ass whipping I ever had was against a guy that, I was 17 and he was 24 as a 5th-year senior. And it was just all in sports. And it was the worst ass whipping I ever had. I had my tooth knocked out. I had fucking cuts over the eye, broke my nose. And it's just, he was just that much more physical. And I was a physical person. I thought at the time, there's a huge difference. So when you look at this and you sit there and say, that's, crazy, it's not crazy. It's no different than, and this is where people lose, in my opinion, the concept of every kid has, what they want to do. Some want to go to college to learn, engineering. Some want to go to college to learn philosophy. Okay, I'm not saying which one I think is more important, but you have ones that want to go to college, and the only reason they're going to college is to play sports. I know that was the only reason I went, was, hey, I was going to play sports. And when you are in that position of holding you back a year, or at least not pushing you forward a year, could that have helped you in your ability to match up? Yeah, it does. And you're going to hear a lot of people talk about, well, that's just stupid to hold someone back. And that, as parents, we have too many people that care about matching their kid up as far as, how smart they are and educationally, and my kid's in gait or whatever is the exceptional, part and all those things. And it's like, who cares? That all evens out in the end for the most part. How fast your kid can read, what level your kid's reading on, all that stuff. If your kid is in sports, it's the same thing. There's ones that are good in sports and there's ones that aren't. And when you look at the ones that have a chance to go to college, I don't have a problem with someone holding their kid back. If that will help that athlete, be it boy or girl, compete and be able to be successful in college and hold on to that college scholarship, well, then you know what? I'm 100% for it. I don't see anything wrong with it. And I'm being honest. Yeah. I held my son back from not from a grade, but in putting him into school from the get-go. I held him back when they said, "Oh, he can enter now." I'm like, "Nope, he's going to sit here with me for another year." And I did that because I didn't want him to be young, because I remembered what it was like.
Yeah. Yeah,
Your son's going to be in this position, and what choice are you going to make there, Josh Thompson?
Oh, I speak from experience. I speak from experience. It's very similar to what you were just talking about. I was 16 going into my senior year. I didn't turn 17 until 2 months into my senior year. And so then when I got to college, I was just turning 18. Like I was 2 months into college before I turned 18.
Yeah.
Like I could have used another year. That was one. Two is, I remember that from my own personal point of view, but then also did a lot of research on this. It's different for boys than it is for girls. Don't be as quick to hold your daughter back as you are as your son. So for me, with my son, it had nothing to do with sports, even though there was some sports influence in it, but it had nothing to do with it. I did hold him back. I held him back in 4th grade. So we did 4th grade again just recently, and he has excelled so much more. And him being like basically right where he should be, a little bit above in some areas, like his math, he's always been really good at. His reading, he's struggled with a little bit. His history, his political, all of his other stuff that he's doing really well. He does oral reading. He does all this other stuff really well, presents really well, all of those things. But he was always like right where he should be, or a little bit above or a little bit below. 1 year of holding him back, he's excelled in everything. He's at another level. Now, sure, he redid the same grade, so a lot of the same information. But I noticed this in terms of not just me, meetings with his teachers, and his teachers saying he's a different kid than last year. And what that says to me is it's that one extra year of maturity for boys that gives them the freedom to be open-minded, to do things that they know they can do. Boys, for boys, it's about confidence, no different than men and athletes, and females as well as in athletes. But it's about confidence. And if they feel like they can't do something, they shut down or they push harder. And at a young age, majority of them, say 80%, 85% of them, maybe even more, they'll just shut down. And the last thing you want to do is lose a kid. I've trained kids in jiu-jitsu. I've trained kids in wrestling and kickboxing. Once they can't do something, they either give up and shut down and just give half-ass effort to pretend like they don't care, but they do care. And so when I saw in my son, like he was doing everything he possibly could to do things, and he was doing well, but it wasn't where I knew he could be. We held him back. In leaps and bounds, he's gained. And I love that about it. The confidence he walks now with, just everything in school, comes home. It's like, I got 100 here. I got 100 there. I got 100 here. Like he talks about it. Even when he gets 90s, he's like, I know I could have done better. He's like, but I just made a mistake. He's like, I didn't read it. I didn't do the full problem solving, like on math, right? He could have written that long ways. He took a shortcut and got it wrong. He knew he deciphered the mistake himself. Yep. What you do for boys is you give them that extra year of maturity. Mental maturity is the most important thing, I believe, for the boys. For the females, it's a give and take. It's you want to see exactly where they're at. Like my daughter right now, she's actually a little bit older for kindergarten. It's first going into 1st grade now. She's a little bit older. She's way above where she should be in terms of reading and all the other stuff. She's killing it. But I'm gonna keep her where she's at. She's right where she should be. She'll be going into her senior year as 18 years old. She'll already be 18, going to turn 19. She'll be going in 18, going to turn 19 when she's graduating. Yeah. It just really comes down to me after doing all the research, after talking with all the teachers, and it just seeing for boys it's one way and girls the other. The last thing I'm going to say on this thing, Americans and most, I don't even know how it is in other cultures. I'm just going to speak on how it is here in the United States. What is the fucking hurry to get our kids out of the house?
That's
why?
True. Well, there are reasons.
Tell me why. No. I want to know why you want to get your kid out of the house.
You know,
I've said this multiple times. I don't want my kids leaving. I want my kids to live with me. I don't know. I have this approach. I want my kids with me all the time. John, you know how I am. Yep. If it has to do with my kid, I'm going to put everything else on the back burner. I want to spend as much time with I can. He was texting me right now because he's got his little Apple Watch. He just said, hey, I know you're filming, but I just want to tell you I love you. Because he went to church today. He was with family. You know, he's seen his cousins and stuff today.
Now I'm getting a tear in my eye. God damn it. Stop that.
You know, but for me, why would I want that to change? I don't want that to change. And I know we're gonna go through there's gonna go through phases. He's gonna hit the teen phase, and I'm gonna be like pulling my hair out, wanting to strangle him. But I can tell you right now, there's no rush for me to get my kid out of the house and into a job or to, off to college or after college, like go and do. That will come with maturity. That will come with time. He can work the rest of his life. What the hell am I going to push my kid out of the house for?
No. Yeah.
And I notice that a lot in the U.S. That's
true.
what they try to do. And I'm not. I don't want that. I don't want that to happen.
No. There's what you do is you raise your kids to the point where they can leave the house and be successful. And when they want to, then it's time for them to go. But I want to bring up one more thing before we go, though.
Wait. I want to touch on that one last thing. Look, I ran into some friends here. They work for their family. They're a Greek family, right? They're from Greece. They come here. They open up a bunch of restaurants. Every time I had an after party, I'd always go to their restaurants. They would reserve a room for me, and I'd have after parties there. They sold all those restaurants. The brothers and the cousins, all named Nick, by the way. They're Greek. Yes. And so they sold all the restaurants because those were owned by their parents. They were like cafes, like a Denny's, but like a nicer version. The younger generation came in. All the Nicks got together. They sold all what their parents had built, and they went and started this company called Nick the Greek. You know what that is? It's a fast food shawarma spot that they just sold to the number one guy who owns the majority of Jack in the Box. For $900 million, they sold that. So they started Nick the Greek during COVID. Here we are 6 years later. They just sold it for $900 million. I just had dinner with them last night. Yeah. So just understanding that it's a family-run thing, having your family involved in everything you do. I want my son to live with me as long as he can. And look, when you want to buy a house, let's do it. I want to help you do it. I want you to help and work to get it done as well. Do you want to open a business? Let me help you. Let me help you do it. You want to be active on social media? Let me help you do it. Let me do this. Let's do it together. I'll show you, and then you can do it. And then we just build little things together. That's the point of life, I think, and making sure that your kids and the younger generation that you leave behind can fend for themselves and do everything themselves, and they can spread whatever knowledge you share to them to their kids and their family. That's the most important thing in life. When we leave this world, that's what we should be thinking. Nothing else.
There you go.
Because you sure the fuck can't take your money with you, buddy.
Dude, my daughter lives on my farm, so it is. That's why I get to see my grandson all the time.
It's great.
That is. It's everything. Family is everything. So eventually people realize in the end, you can't take money with you, but the family will always remember. Did you do things right? So I do want to say the one thing that I was not sure if George was going to bring up, but Ben Askren did put out a beautiful, absolutely inspiring video of him actually curling a 5-pound weight. But, he's sitting there, talking the way that Ben talks. And he's sitting there saying, I can't walk on my own. I've got a walker. But I'm going to show you, in 20 days, I'm going to be better. And in 20 days from that, I'm going to be even better than that. And he's actually, putting it out there, trying to inspire other people to, get up off your ass and get yourself back. If you're down at all, get yourself in shape. It's all a matter of work ethic and putting in the time. And I thought it was, fantastic that Ben, in the position that he's in, sitting there with, dude, his arms are super thin and he's had all these bad things happen to him, and he's sitting there and he's trying to inspire other people. God bless you, Ben. It was a beautiful thing.
Yeah, he's a fucking amazing person.
Dude,
anybody that knows anything about Ben is that he just lets the negative energy flow off of his back and he brings positive energy forward. And I love that about him. And what he's doing right now is remarkable. Yep. Absolutely remarkable. Yep. Love seeing it. Love the fact that he's pushing and he's trying, and to make himself like he did. I'm assuming the one that you're talking about is where he had no shirt on. Yep. And he's sitting kind of in a chair.
Yep.
He's making himself vulnerable to the world.
Yes.
Look at me and what I've been through. Look at my scars. Look at all the stuff that I have been through. And I'm here trying to tell you guys that I can do this.
Yep.
And if anything, that's letting everybody else know you can get through whatever it is you're doing. Look at me right now. I'm making myself vulnerable for you. It's not for me. It's for you. So whatever I post on here and I'm talking about is to let you all know that I'm working hard. I'm trying a little bit, baby steps every day, a little bit every day, make myself better. If I can do that, then I'm success. And that's exactly what I'm seeing right now. The guy's winning at life. He's got another set. He's got another chance at
round
life with these new lungs.
Got another round.
How many of us have that opportunity? We never know. So I'm happy for him. I want to see him continue to grow, and best wishes, man, to Ben Askren.
Yep.
Well, hey, that's going to wrap up our show, and John, go ahead, take us away, bud.
Hey, for everyone out there, I hope you enjoyed the fights. Take care of yourself, take care of your family, and we will see you.
And now bringing you that hard, hitting fight analysis. Submitting you into paralysis. Josh Thompson head kicking leg to dome. And Big John McCarthy saying let's get it on.